Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. This is where we really try to get into the weeds on complex topics, pull out what matters, and give you that synthesized knowledge you can actually use.
That's the goal.
And today, we are absolutely fixated on this one number. It still kind of echoes years later, doesn't it? $44 billion.
$44 billion, yeah. The price tag for Twitter, now X, back in October 2022. It really felt like more than just a massive business deal.
Oh, definitely.
It was like a statement, wasn't it? It cemented this idea that, okay, the global public square, it has to be owned, controlled by one huge centralized player with, well, frankly, just astronomical amounts of money behind them.
Exactly. And that $44 billion, that's just the cover charge, right? The cost to even get in the door. Yeah. Our mission today goes way deeper. Mm-hmm. We want to dissect the real costs, the hidden ones, of that whole centralized model. And these aren't just financial costs we're talking about.
No, not at all. They're sociological. They impact our psychology, even our democracy.
Right. And then the exciting part, we pivot. We look at the tech revolution that's actually, well, kind of dismantling that whole cost structure.
Yeah.
Social networks as a service. SNaaS?
SNaaS, yeah. It's fascinating because it takes that massive infrastructure burden, that $44 billion problem, and shrinks it down to literally pennies per user in operational cost.
Pennies per user. That's the key.
And that suddenly unlocks the door for real community self-determination, for digital spaces designed for a specific function, not just mass eyeballs.
And this really speaks to something I think a lot of you listening are feeling, that sense of just being overwhelmed by information, right?
Absolutely. People are tired of the noise. They're looking for digital tools that actually do something specific for them, serve a real need, instead of these giant algorithm-driven attention traps.
So this deep dive, it's your shortcut to understanding how we can actually make that choice.
Yeah.
How we move from this world of digital scarcity, defined by who has the billions, to digital abundance, defined purely by what a community intends to do.
Precisely. From capital-driven to intent-driven.
Okay, let's get into it. Part one. The $44 billion abyss deconstructing centralized control.
So that $44 billion, it's more than just a number on a spreadsheet. It's a barrier, an almost unimaginable economic and societal barrier to entry.
Totally unimaginable for most.
Right. If you or your community or even a small nation wanted to build something to compete with or just offer an alternative to the main global communication platform, that's the price tag. That's the toll you supposedly have to pay.
And what does that do?
Well, it just stifles innovation, doesn't it? It kills the potential for diverse, distributed approaches, and it fundamentally undermines any real chance for communities to have genuine digital sovereignty to control their own online spaces and conversations.
Because only the biggest players can afford to set the rules.
Exactly. The sheer scale of capital needed means a tiny handful of individuals or massive corporations end up dictating the terms of engagement for literally billions of people.
And what that capital buys. It's not just servers and code, is it? It's also buying the power to, well, subtly shape reality on a massive scale. Let's dig into that first hidden cost. Algorithmic arbitrage and reality distortion.
Right.
We know these big platforms need to deliver shareholder value, but how exactly do their secret algorithms turn that profit motive into, well, distorted social outcomes?
Okay, so it fundamentally comes down to engagement, but not just any engagement, profitable engagement. These centralized platforms use complex proprietary machine learning algorithms. And these algorithms are constantly A/B testing everything, how content is delivered, who sees what, when they see it.
Constantly tweaking.
Constantly. And here's the key. They aren't optimizing for things like truth or nuance or, helping people understand each other better.
Not the primary goal.
Not at all. They're optimizing for metrics like time on site and reaction. How long can we keep you scrolling? What makes you click, share, or comment most?
And what works best for that?
Well, what the models have learned, almost universally, is that content driving strong emotional reactions works incredibly well. Things like outrage, moral disgust, tribalism, polarization, fear. That stuff gets clicks, it gets shares, it gets angry comments, it drives engagement through the roof.
The negative engagement loop, I've heard it called.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So the actual infrastructure, the code, the servers, everything bought with that $44 billion is, at its core, designed to find and amplify emotional volatility, because that's what's profitable.
So the tech itself isn't neutral. It has a bias towards conflict.
Precisely. It's engineered to subtly nudge public attention towards the things that generate the most heat, because heat equals engagement equals ad revenue. When you've sunk billions into something, you have to guarantee returns.
And exploiting societal fault lines is the most reliable way.
Unfortunately, it seems to be the most algorithmically reliable way, so that astronomical sum, it buys the power for the subtle, constant manipulation of the narrative. And we see the results in the real world, don't we?
We absolutely do.
Social fragmentation, this erosion of a shared sense of reality, instability, and democratic processes, it's all connected. That 44 billion buys the infrastructure that literally profits from the breakdown of civil communication.
Wow. Okay, and then for any group, any organization trying to build something within that system,
Yeah.
they hit another wall, right? Vendor lock-in and data captivity.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. These big centralized networks are like digital walled gardens. They're beautiful inside, maybe, but the walls are very high.
Hard to leave.
Extremely. So imagine an organization, maybe it's a political movement, a nonprofit doing vital work, or even just a niche professional group. They spend years building their community, their history, all their connections, all their data on one of these platforms.
They invest huge amounts of time and energy.
Exactly. And instantly, they are suffering from severe vendor lock-in. They've essentially outsourced their entire digital existence, their institutional memory.
And they have no real control.
Zero control. They are completely at the mercy of the platform owner. Sudden API changes can break all the tools they rely on overnight. Remember that?
Oh yeah, that caused chaos.
Total chaos. Or the platform might suddenly change its monetization strategy and start charging huge fees. Or they change data export formats, making it practically impossible to actually take your community's data and history with you if you wanted to leave.
So the billions spent to buy the platform also bought the right to hold user data hostage.
That's a blunt way to put it, but yes. It secures the legal and technical power for the platform owner to control that data, ensuring this permanent, almost insurmountable power imbalance. Your community's history, your connections, your content, it's not really your asset. It's a captive asset being used for the platform's benefit.
It's grim when you put it like that. Okay, let's shift from the structural issues to the human cost, the psychological and sociological toll. This is the price paid by every individual user, day in, day out. We often dismiss it, oh, it's just social media, but the effects are real, aren't they? Because the design itself seems engineered to mess with our well-being for profit.
This is where it gets deeply personal and, yeah, quite concerning. These centralized systems, their very architecture, often seems designed to exploit fundamental human psychological vulnerabilities.
Like what specifically?
Well, think about the infinite scroll. It never ends. The constant notifications pinging for your attention. The use of intermittent variable reinforcement, that's the same principle slot machines use, giving you rewards unpredictably to keep you hooked.
Borrowed from casinos.
Essentially, yes. These are behavioral design patterns explicitly crafted to maximize your screen time, to create a habit, maybe even an addiction, by hijacking your brain's dopamine system. The platform is intentionally designed to create and maintain a state of continuous partial attention.
Always feeling like you might be missing something.
Exactly. And the result of being constantly bombarded with content that's optimized purely for engagement, not for your well-being. We see documented increases in anxiety and depression, especially among younger people. It's hard to ignore that correlation.
And a comparison aspect.
Huge. Everyone on these platforms is curating their life, presenting the highlight reel, so it massively amplifies comparison culture. And that constant fear of missing out, FOMO, it's almost baked into the experience.
So it takes all these incredibly different human needs, scientists collaborating, neighbors organizing, families connecting, and forces them into one single profit-driven template.
That's the failure, isn't it? It prioritizes global scale and addictiveness above almost everything else, local context, healthy interaction, specific functional needs. It serves the platform's needs, not necessarily the users.
Which leads us to maybe the biggest hidden cost, the one that rarely gets calculated when we look at a deal like that $44 billion acquisition, the opportunity cost of capital. What didn't happen, because that money was tied up in buying one existing flawed giant.
This is the part that I find truly staggering. The sheer waste of potential. $44 billion. Concentrated just to maintain one company's dominant position over attention and data. Imagine what that capital could have done if it were distributed.
What could it have funded?
It could have been seed funding for literally hundreds of thousands of specialized, perhaps nonprofit, mission-driven digital utilities designed purely for public benefit, things we desperately need.
Okay, give us some concrete examples. If you had $44 billion to spend differently, where could it go for maximum positive impact?
Right, let's think about three key areas. First, decentralized identity systems, or DIDs. That kind of money could have completely funded the development, the open sourcing, and the global rollout of a universal standard for truly private, user-controlled digital identity.
So you control your identity, not some corporation or government.
Exactly. Imagine a world where platforms couldn't track your every click, where your bank or government couldn't build a complete profile of your life based on your digital interactions because you held the keys to your identity credentials. That $44 billion could have secured digital interactions globally in a privacy-preserving way.
Okay, that's huge. What's number two?
Universal privacy-preserving messaging protocols. We could fund the creation, auditing, and ongoing maintenance of truly end-to-end encrypted messaging systems. Fully open source, guaranteed free from commercial snooping or government backdoors, deployed everywhere, especially in places where people face censorship or human rights risks.
Basic secure communication as a public utility.
It should be. It's fundamental for freedom in the modern world, but it remains underfunded because the dominant business model relies on surveillance, not privacy.
Makes sense. And a third area, something more grounded in local needs.
How about infrastructure for local governance and civic tech, especially in developing nations? Imagine decentralized digital tools tailored not for ads, but for real community functions, tracking access to clean water reliably, managing local elections securely using transparent ledger technology, enabling direct citizen feedback on town planning.
Things that actually improve daily life.
Precisely. $44 billion could catalyze thousands of these kinds of customized, functional digital utilities built for genuine human needs and local self-determination all over the world. But instead of funding distributed public good, that capital was concentrated to prop up the old model of attention capture.
That contrast is stark. Concentrated capital preserving a monopoly versus distributed capital creating focused utility. And that right there is the perfect pivot point for us. This is where it gets really exciting. We're moving from the problem to the potential solution in part two. The revolutionary value proposition, from scarcity to abundance via SNaaS.
Yes, shifting gears completely.
We're leaving behind that $44 billion barrier, which is all about creating artificial scarcity of control, and moving to a model SNaaS that basically flips the economics. It pushes the cost down to just operational cents per user.
And that financial pivot, combined with the technological advancements, is what dismantles that massive capital barrier we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Suddenly, building sophisticated digital infrastructure becomes abundant, not scarce.
Which means
Communities and organizations can finally create these targeted, focused digital spaces that were just completely out of reach before, either financially or technically. And this unlocks tremendous, transformative social value. Because the whole design process shifts from how do we maximize ad clicks to how do we perfectly serve this specific community's mission.
Okay, let's make that concrete. Let's explore some of these areas where SNaaS isn't just a cool idea, but an essential tool for creating real value. Starting with something critical, global humanitarian and disaster relief networks. Centralized platforms tend to fail spectacularly in crises, don't they?
They really do. They get overloaded almost instantly. Their algorithms, designed for normal times, often end up spreading panic, misinformation, and rumors much faster than verified facts.
And censorship can be a huge issue.
A massive issue. Governments involved might try to shut down or control the narrative on the main platforms. So the SNaaS solution here is what you could call an autonomous crisis network. Think about organizations like the UN, the Red Cross, Doctors Without Borders. They don't need a global shouting platform during a crisis.
What do they need?
They need secure, lightweight, highly localized communication networks that can be deployed instantly right inside a disaster zone, independent of the main internet if necessary.
And how does SNaaS enable that kind of secure, localized function?
Because you build the network specifically for the task. It's configured to prioritize only verified status updates from official sources, multilingual coordinates for aid distribution points, secure, validated channels for helping families reconnect. It filters out the noise by design.
And
Critically, these networks can be designed to be temporary, with built-in self-dilution protocols once the immediate crisis or mission is over. This is vital for protecting the data privacy of extremely vulnerable people. It also means they can be spun up rapidly, totally independent of commercial interests or censorship attempts or the policies of some distant tech giant.
They're pure utility. Fit for purpose, then gone.
Exactly. The network exists solely to solve a specific, temporary, critical problem. It's not trying to build a permanent audience or sell ads. That's a fundamental shift.
Okay, huge implications there. Let's move to another area, supply chain integrity and ethical sourcing. We know consumers increasingly demand transparency about where products come from, how they're made. But the big platforms just aren't built for handling complex, verified data trails, are they?
Not effectively, no. They might show you a nice picture of a coffee farmer, but verifying the entire chain. That requires something different. This is where you get verified sourcing networks powered by SNaaS.
Who would use these?
Think about industry groups in areas with high stakes for ethics or regulation. Organic farming, for instance, conflict-free minerals, high-purity pharmaceuticals. These consortia can launch their own private SNaaS networks.
And what makes them different?
They can have immutable ledger or blockchain capabilities built right into the core architecture, not just bolted on as an afterthought. The verification mechanism is native to the network itself.
So everyone in the chain uses this dedicated network.
Right. The farmer who grew the beans, the processing plant, the distributor, the shipping company, the retailer, maybe even the end consumer eventually, they all interact within this closed, verifiable loop. They track and cryptographically verify compliance, origin data, handling procedures at every step.
And because a network is designed only for verification, not for viral memes.
The data stays clean, trustworthy, and fully auditable. It moves ethical sourcing from just marketing claims on a label to a verifiable digital reality, building genuine trust and accountability back into complex global supply chains.
Okay, that's powerful for commerce. What about the world of pure knowledge creation? Dedicated scientific and interinstitutional R&D? Discovery needs focus, security, freedom from commercial spying, or just the general noise of the internet.
Absolutely. The standard tools often fall short here. That's the niche for federated research networks. Imagine multiple universities working on a sensitive project, or several pharmaceutical companies collaborating on early-stage drug discovery, or engineering firms sharing complex simulation data.
How would they use SNaaS?
They could share a dedicated end-to-end encrypted SNaaS platform. The crucial part is that the governance rules, the data handling protocols, which are often incredibly complex and sensitive in these partnerships, are defined and enforced by the platform's architecture itself. It's not just based on trust, it's built into the code.
So it's like a shared, secure digital lab space.
Exactly. A virtual collaboration environment tailored precisely to their scientific workflow. The features wouldn't be generic chat and photo sharing. They'd be dedicated tools for verifiable data sharing, secure hypothesis testing, maybe blinded peer review of preprints, running complex model.
And the security aspect is key.
Paramount. Because the environment is E2E encrypted, access is granularly permissioned, it inherently protects intellectual property. It helps accelerate discovery by removing friction and noise, and crucially, it avoids the massive security risks of trying to use general-purpose commercial tools for highly sensitive R&D work.
Right, using your personal chat app for discussing a billion-dollar drug candidate is probably not ideal.
Not ideal, no. Definitely not.
Okay, finally, let's touch on something deeply human. Cultural and linguistic sovereignty and preservation. We know marginalized groups often struggle with mainstream platforms. They don't cater to unique needs, especially linguistic ones.
This is one of the most potentially impactful areas, I think. SNaaS enables the creation of what you might call indigenous language incubators. Think of small communities, maybe fighting to keep their ancestral language alive. They often lack the huge capital needed to commission custom software.
But with SNaaS,
they can now launch their own social networks, visually and functionally tailored to their specific culture and language for very low cost. These platforms can immediately become the primary digital hub for that language.
and they can include specific tools.
Yes. Integrated tools designed explicitly for cultural survival. Things like shared databases for standardizing and preserving vocabulary, tools allowing elders to easily record and transcribe oral histories, interactive educational modules for teaching the language to younger generations. The possibilities are tailored to the need.
And the success metric changes completely.
Totally. The success of this network isn't measured in global ad revenue or monthly active users in the billions. It's measured by the health of that specific community, the velocity of their language, the intergenerational transfer of knowledge.
That shift from needing a $44 billion platform to reach the world to optimally serving maybe just a few hundred people, preserving a language that feels like true digital democracy in action.
It really does.
But, okay, we have to tackle the big how. How does this actually work? How technically do the billions in cost just evaporate into pennies? That brings us to part 3, the SNaaS technological pivot.
Right, this is where we get under the hood a bit. This is the technical foundation that makes bypassing that capital barrier possible. SNaaS isn't magic. It's a systematic replacement of the old way of building software. It swaps out that traditional, monolithic, multi-year, multi-billion-dollar development cycle.
Which is slow and incredibly expensive.
Yeah, slow, expensive, risky, and replaces it with automated utility-style infrastructure that's built on extreme modularity and clever automation.
Okay, let's start with the basic building blocks. You mentioned modularity, containerization, and reusable components. Names like Docker, Kubernetes, our audience might know them, but why are they so fundamental to slashing the cost of launching, say, a social network?
Okay, so the old way, the monolithic way, you build this one giant complex application. Everything is tangled together. It runs on specific servers. If one little part has a bug or needs updating, you might have to redeploy the whole massive thing. Scaling it up or down is slow and costly.
Right, very rigid.
Very. Containerization completely changes that. Think of every core feature, the chat function, the user profile system, the media upload tool, the analytics engine as being packaged up into its own self-contained, pre-tested, standardized little box. A container.
Like digital Lego bricks.
That's a great analogy, digital Lego bricks. And Kubernetes is like the master builder that knows how to arrange and manage millions of these bricks efficiently. So what are the economic benefits?
Yeah, what does that translate to in dollars and cents? Or pennies, as you said.
Benefit 1, resource density. Kubernetes is incredibly efficient at packing these containers onto servers. You can run thousands of these little services reliably on far fewer physical machines compared to the old way. You're squeezing much more value out of your hardware.
Which means lower cloud hosting bills.
Massively lower. Cloud hosting is usually the single biggest ongoing expense, so that's huge savings right there. Benefit 2, immutability and self-healing. Because these containers are pre-built and tested, deploying a new feature or scaling up is almost instant. You just tell Kubernetes you need more chat service containers and bam, they appear.
If one breaks.
That's the beauty of it. Kubernetes doesn't try to fix the broken one. It just instantly destroys the failed container and spins up a brand new, healthy, identical clone from the blueprint. This practically eliminates the need for huge teams of expensive DevOps engineers spending their nights troubleshooting server crashes. The system heals itself.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense for ongoing operations, stability, scaling. But what about getting it all set up in the first place? Provisioning the cloud databases, the networks, the security rules. Didn't that used to take months of super specialized engineering work?
Ah, yes. That initial setup was a massive hurdle, and that brings us to what I think is the absolute core innovation making SNaaS so revolutionary today. Infrastructure as code, IAC, combined with AI simplification.
Infrastructure as code, like Terraform or CloudFormation scripts.
Exactly. Those scripts define your entire cloud setup, servers, databases, networks, firewalls in text files. That was already a big step forward from clicking buttons in a cloud console. But writing and maintaining those scripts, especially for complex, secure systems, still require deep expertise.
That's a bottleneck.
Still a bottleneck. What SNaaS platforms, particularly the advanced ones, are doing now is using generative AI and clever prompt engineering to automatically generate those complex, secure IAC scripts for you.
Whoa, okay, hang on. Automatically generate. That sounds potentially risky. How does the AI know how to build something secure and functional just from me typing a sentence? Aren't you just handing over control to a black box?
That's a really important question. It's not letting the AI just invent random code. That would be chaos. The key is that the AI is working within a strictly defined library of pre-approved, certified, secure components and blueprints.
Ah, so it's choosing from a safe menu.
Exactly. The workflow looks like this. You, the user, who might have zero technical background, provide a simple prompt in natural language. You describe what you want the network to do. For example, you might type, create a private, secure network for my alumni association with discussion forums, event calendars, and a voting module for 5,000 members.
Okay, a clear intention. What happens next?
The AI engine parses that intent. It understands private, secure, alumni association, forums, voting module, 5,000 members. It then translates this intent into the required ISC configuration, selecting the necessary pre-certified microservices from its library, the right kind of database, the forum component, the secure voting module, load balancers configured for that user load.
And crucially, the security and compliance.
That's built in. The AI applies security best practices and compliance settings by default, based on the context it inferred or specific keywords like HIPAA compliant if you needed that. Things like encryption everywhere, automatic backups, strict access controls. These aren't afterthoughts, they're part of the blueprints the AI uses. It provisions and securely links everything together.
So instead of needing a team of cloud architects, security specialists, and DevOps engineers working for weeks or months to figure out how to securely integrate a voting module with a forum and ensure it scales, the AI selects the pre-hardened certified blocks and snaps them together based on your prompt.
You got it. It's the difference between needing a master engineer to design and build a custom car engine from scratch versus configuring a car online by choosing pre-built, certified options for the engine, transmission, and seats. This process collapses the deployment timeline for a complete, scalable, secure social network from potentially months of work down to, well, seconds.
Seconds, really.
Literally seconds for the configuration and initiation of the provisioning. This is the ultimate democratization of building online communities and tools. It completely bypasses the need for that $44 billion upfront investment. And this isn't science fiction. You can actually experience this right now. Anyone can go and build their own specialized social network with a simple prompt in under 30 seconds at web4.community.
30 seconds from prompt to a functioning network. That's mind-bending. It removes the technical barrier almost entirely.
It vaporizes it.
Okay, so the setup is incredibly fast and easy. But let's circle back to an earlier problem with centralized systems: data silos. If SNaaS makes it easy to spin up lots of specialized networks, don't you just end up with different kinds of silos? How does it handle API standardization and federated interoperability?
That's a great point. SNaaS anticipates this. Good SNaaS platforms mandate the use of standardized APIs across all the networks they deploy. Think of it like ensuring all the Lego bricks have the same standard connector.
Okay, standard connectors, what does that enable?
It enables federation. Imagine a large, complex organization, maybe a global corporation, or a big university system, or a research consortium. They could run multiple distinct SNaaS networks, each perfectly tailored for a specific job.
Like one for R&D, one for HR, one for marketing.
Exactly. Highly secure for R&D, focused on employee comms for HR, public-facing for marketing. They are separate, optimized spheres, but because they use standard APIs, they can be securely linked or federated when needed.
So I could talk to each other, but only in controlled ways.
Precisely. The HR network could securely share verified employee skill data with the R&D network when staffing a new project, but the underlying SNaaS governance layer would strictly prevent HR from accidentally sharing sensitive salary information or disciplinary records with R&D. It prevents data silos where useful information can't be shared, but it enforces boundaries to stop irrelevant or inappropriate data sharing. It's selective, secure information flow by design.
Got it. Okay, one last technical piece: compliance. GDPR, HIPAA, all those regulations, they often feel like they exist just to crush small projects under administrative weight and cost.
Yeah.
How does SNaaS help there?
Yeah. Compliance is often the silent killer of innovation, especially for nonprofits or smaller groups. The sheer cost and complexity of engineering systems to meet requirements like GDPR's right to be forgotten or the technical safeguards needed for IPA. It used to be a massive barrier requiring expensive legal and engineering teams.
Used to be.
Because the core SNaaS engine itself and its library of certified components are centrally maintained and audited for compliance. The necessary protocols, data encryption, access logging, data deletion workflows are engineered directly into that service layer, into those Lego bricks.
So if I need a UPay compliant network,
you simply specify that in your initial AI prompt. The AI then selects and configures only the HIPAA certified components and applies the required security policies automatically during deployment. You don't have to hire consultants to redesign your database or audit your code for compliance. It's built in as a configurable option. It dramatically lowers the cost and complexity barrier for operating responsibly in regulated spaces.
Okay, the tech is there, the cost reduction is clearly massive, the potential applications are genuinely transformative. Let's bring it home in part 4. Link speed and the call to digital independence. We need to connect this SNaaS concept to something tangible people can see and use.
And Linkspread's Web4 Community platform is really that prime example today. It takes SNaaS out of the realm of technical diagrams and makes it an immediate, accessible reality. It perfectly embodies this Web4 vision we're talking about.
Define Web4 for us again in this context.
Web4, in this view, represents the shift towards a future of distributed, purpose-built digital spaces. Networks that are highly focused on a specific task or community need, that are intent-driven, meaning they're configured by simple AI prompts describing their purpose, and, critically, where the community or organization has genuine ownership and control over their space. User-owned, not platform-owned.
And Linkspread's achievement is making that vision practical.
Yes. By seamlessly integrating that modular, containerized architecture we discussed with the incredibly powerful AI configuration front end, that perfect synergy is the revolutionary feat.
It makes the complexity just disappear for the person wanting to build something.
Completely. The barrier to entry doesn't just get lowered, it's effectively vaporized. Linkspread is demonstrating right now the ability to deploy a complete, highly scalable, fully functional social network with all the sophisticated backend stuff, compliance defaults included in under 30 seconds, requiring absolutely zero technical expertise from the user.
Okay, we have to stress that metric again, because it's more than just speed. Deploying a custom, operational, scalable digital community in under 30 seconds. That sounds like a fundamental shift in power. It's almost like a declaration of digital independence.
It really is. It's the moment where any group, every nonprofit, every research lab, every local community group, every indigenous language project can look at that old, centralized $44 billion model and confidently say, you know what? We don't actually need you. We don't need your rules. We don't need your engagement hacking algorithms. We don't need your distractions. We can define and build our own space perfectly suited for our needs right now.
It completely flips the power dynamic.
Totally. The choice is no longer stay silent, or try to shout inside the giant, noisy, expensive megaphone controlled by someone else. The choice is now. Create your own precisely tuned digital sphere designed to serve your mission with minimal friction and incredibly low operational costs.
The potential for community building, for focused work, for cultural preservation, it feels unlocked in a new way.
It truly is.
And for anyone listening who feels that spark, who wants to see this isn't just talk, who wants to explore how easy it is to create a purpose-built community space with just an idea, that source of transformation is live. You can try it at web4.community.
Yeah, it's worth seeing just how simple it is. To really synthesize this whole journey we've taken today, we've gone from analyzing the immense, multifaceted costs, financial, social, psychological, of the centralized $44 billion model exemplified by platforms like X,
A model built on exclusivity and attention capture.
to understanding the democratized, low-cost, utility-focused model of SNaaS. And that transition, that technological pivot, is arguably the single most significant enabler for genuine, healthy, bottom-up community building and responsible digital governance that we've seen in a very long time.
It lets the world essentially bypass the gatekeepers.
It lets us bypass the immense financial barriers and, frankly, the ethical compromises inherent in those monopolistic platforms. It empowers people to build the precise, focused digital tools that actually serve humanity's incredibly diverse and specific needs, rather than trying to fit everyone into one ad-serving box.
It really reframes what digital knowledge or connection is even for. It shifts from mass attention capture back towards focused utility and specific purpose.
Which brings us to a final, maybe more profound thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Spent a lot of time detailing how that old centralized model imposes a significant psychological toll, right? Driving anxiety, comparison, FOMO, all through platform design choices optimized for engagement stats, not human well-being.
Right. The model actively compromises mental health for profit.
Okay, so if that's the known cost of the old way, what happens to us, individually and collectively? What happens to our mental health, our ability to focus, our sense of community, when our digital spaces are increasingly designed not to exploit us, but to perfectly serve specific, constructive, maybe even healthy needs? Like enabling verifiable scientific collaboration, or focused cultural preservation work, or secure local civic engagement?
What's the positive impact when the design supports well-being instead of undermining it?
Exactly. What is the real value, the societal dividend paid back in terms of reduced anxiety, increased focus, stronger community bonds, when our digital health is no longer systematically compromised by platform architecture? That potential positive impact, that's the ultimate so what of this whole SNaaS revolution. And that value, I suspect, might dwarf even $44 billion.
powerful question to end on. Thank you for walking us through that complex landscape, from the problems to the really exciting potential.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating shift happening right now.
And thank you all for joining us on the deep dive. We hope this gives you a new lens on the future of online community and digital tools. We'll catch you on the next one.